Welcome back to Marvel Maniac, an MCU after show. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, back with you for Moon Knight, episode 4, The Tomb. And it's been a little bit since we've talked to Moon Knight. As you may or may not know, if you're subscribed, you probably know, I covered all of What If as it went every day for about a week. And I had a great time doing it. I had a really nice perspective. I almost said forced, but no, I wanted to look at everything through a positive lens, so I kind of steer clear of the negative reviews. And if you go back and listen, you'll probably, if you want to hear someone being excited about that season, you can listen to my episodes. I don't consider it as me being out of touch. I just consider it as me being a little more, not even more, it's just not a lot of things bother me if the story feels right. And for me, I think the overall story that they went with for the last few episodes was fun. I think they could have done, maybe a different episode or two, like a little more out there, less than safe ideas, like some of their ideas from the end of the episode. But this show's about Moon Knight, and we got a little Moon Knight in What If. It was really cool to see him with the Avengers, and that just makes me hope that we'll see him with the Avengers sooner than later, like in Doomsday. And I don't know how they're going to get all these characters together, but they did it in Infinity War. They're going to do it in Doomsday. I'll be honest, for me, this was one of those pacer episodes. It's a lot of exposition. It's important though, because it really actually leads into the finale in the last 2 episodes and where the show goes. So yeah, in this episode, the race is on to get to Ammit's tomb before Harrow, which ends up being not what happens. Harrow is a step ahead, and they are not greeted along the way with kind like people that they meet. They are greeted with attacks by a convoy of cars, and we really get to see Layla kind of become a little bit of an action hero here. Marc was knocked out the whole time too in the beginning of the episode because I believe of what happened with Khonshu and him changing the stars so they can get exactly to where they need to be in terms of Ammit's tomb. So that worked, but they had resistance along the way. Layla takes care of some issues. She uses the flares, and it's pretty sweet. We learn a lot about Layla, actually, and a bit more about Marc and Layla's history in this episode. But there's still a lot of questions, almost like Layla is asking us questions to Marc for Marc, because we don't know exactly what happened between her and Marc's dad. But it's becoming more and more. Marc's getting closer and closer to the death, and it's not looking good in her eyes at all. She asks him directly in this episode, "What happened to my father? You were there. You were there. You saw it. And she didn't know any of that. And it turns out that he met her after this. So she realizes that he only came to her for guilt of what happened to his father, not truly knowing what, to the audience or her, what truly did happen. There's a perspective that Marc's not sharing, I believe, and she sees through that, and she's really disappointed and hurt, because wouldn't you? I mean, it's her father. It's very emotional, and it's what I meant by kind of we're getting some more exposition in this episode. This is what it's all about. We need this in the show. You need the good quiet moments to make the bigger moments stand out. And when you take a movie and turn it into a TV show, this is more of a movie type show to me. It's kind of an advantage for the character of Moon Knight, because he's really had as much on-screen time in this season, probably as much as 3, maybe 2 big movies, if not 3. I watched the show a couple years ago, and I do not remember the demonic, scaly lizard people that were in this tomb chasing them for half the episode. And oh my God, how terrifying was that? I did not expect that. I must have been half asleep watching this when I watched it before. I did remind you that I was going through a rough time, but I'm talking to you like I talk to my friends, okay? I don't tell everybody I was going through a rough time, but everybody has rough times. Don't ever be embarrassed about that. And honestly, if speaking that to people helps you get that out and helps you, good on you for sharing. If it's with the wrong person, that's on them, and that's not a big deal. Except if it's for somebody at the grocery store, when you're like people in your life, I'd say that's fair game. Talk about how you feel. Don't hold it in. I know I'm using this Moon Knight episode as a platform for my belief of mental health positivity. And I mean, this show kind of falls into that a lot. It's kind of crazy because there is split personality disorder. So this show really dives into it in a way like Khonshu has control in a sense over Marc. And that is just a very powerful, like, different type of hero. Like, he is doing work for a god. Very complex story in terms of Marc/Steven's relationship with Layla, because they have like a big kiss when Steven directly asks like Marc not to. Reminds me of The Office. It's like, you cheated on me when I specifically asked you not to. It's kind of funny though, because they're the same person yet they're not. So the kiss is like cheating, but in the same way it's not. Same body. It's a tough, I don't know, moral debate, I guess. Like, not a lot of this doesn't happen quite often. However, Marc did summon the strength to punch Steven straight in the face for doing that. Have these little statues when they put gods to rest, in a sense. And Ammit's and Khonshu's, well, Ammit's we see after we see Khonshu's in the very first scene of this episode be put on a shelf with candles next to other gods. This is a little bit different how they find it. And Layla and Steven are split apart at the moment that Steven finds the tomb of Alexander the Great and puzzles together somehow that Ammit's figurine, I forget what it's called, it starts with a U and it's hard for me to say. I try to read it. Ushabidi, the little statues that contain the spirits. Steven finds that statue of Ammit. So this is a big deal. This is everything Harrow wants. And unfortunately, as we all know by the end of this episode, it doesn't end super great for Marc. And well, let's just be honest, he dies in a way. To me, he died. I'm trying to be as be as fresh on the show, knowing that there's people who have seen this already, knowing that I've seen this already, but also that this might be someone's first time watching. Thank you for listening for any of those reasons. And it's fun to revisit this show and talk about it on the podcast. I want to know your guys' opinion. Do you think I should cover Miss Marvel, the series on Disney Plus, a week to week, similar like we've been doing with Moon Knight here? Or would you like just a full episode recap? Full like season recap. Sorry, I'm saying everything wrong. Would you prefer full season recap or episode by episode breakdowns? I'm going to look for your email at MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. I might, if I don't hear anything, make an executive decision. However, I think Miss Marvel has a big future in the MCU. So I kind of want to give that show the justice it deserves. And I'm saying this with my intention right now as well. I'm going to try and make the next few episodes, the last 2 episodes, on like Friday and then Wednesday. So I'm going to kind of try and get this show finished for the people who have maybe been waiting for it, or, just as a thank you for the hold off I did for What If, because I just couldn't put the effort into the show when I was so honed in on What If. And the holidays, it's very busy, so lots of excuses. Okay, we're gonna get right back to it. I just really like the villain of Harrow, because he has so much knowledge. He knows what it's like to have been Khonshu's avatar. He knows what it's like to be manipulated by Khonshu, and he also does not trust him. Khonshu is kind of like an anti-hero type god, because, he seems like, I don't know, he looks like a bad guy too, doesn't he? Is there a redeemable moment for Khonshu? Do you like Khonshu? Do you see the good in him? Let me know. MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. I don't know what freeing that Ammit could mean for the MCU, but I think if she got loose, full on a What If scenario, I think she could destroy the world, or a big part of it. So there's a confrontation with Harrow and Layla, and he challenges Layla to ask Marc what happened with her dad. She challenges her on that, and they start getting chased, and Layla gets away, but Marc kind of tries to hold them off, and Harrow comes in, does what Harrow does. Marc does not trust him, so Harrow doesn't make the first move here. Actually, Marc does. He moves in for an attack, and Harrow shoots him blindly about 2 or 3 times, I think. I watched this earlier in the day, so I don't know like the minute detail there, but basically he shot the man dead, and he fell into a deep hole in water into a brand new world, which seems to be the constant normal reality. We are in a mental ward now. Marc is seeing a movie with all the elements of his journey as the Moon Knight, and a lot relating. He's holding an action figure of Moon Knight. Like, this is crazy. The show goes to extreme lengths to make you think and let you believe. And it could be that this has been inside Marc's head the entire freaking time. It's a shocking moment. And it's not just like, it doesn't just end when you get to the psych ward. That could have been the cliffhanger moment, right? But it just keeps going and gets a little more interesting to set up the next episode. And so we see Layla as a fellow patient talking to him as if they've been on journeys together. Everything seems way too real. It's actually kind of scary, that's one of my notes. Marc freaks out and runs, and he goes into a room and opens a tomb, and in it is Steven, and they are coexisting together. That is the one sign that you're like, honestly, in your mind, okay, he's not really dead yet. This must be, what is this, an afterlife? Or if it is an afterlife, he is dead. So what is the magic at play here? Steven and Marc don't get that much time to catch up with each other, because they start to leave, and a giant hippo goddess comes out of nowhere, and we don't know what that's all about until next episode. But the whole idea that Dr. Harrow, and just Harrow being a doctor, it's like, oh, I know about Steven. I want to talk to Marc, and yeah, it says this make you feel this way and that way, and you totally buy that performance. It's such a great performance. And I don't know at this point in the show what's going on. I'm like, will he just lead on to become Moon Knight once he gets out of this mental ward? Was it in another dimension? Is this another dimension? Is this an afterlife? We are definitely to find out in the next one. Spoiler alert, skip ahead 15 seconds. It's the afterlife. And there's actually kind of a huge deal adding another afterlife and God system and all the lore behind that into the MCU, but that's what this show starts to do. The gods have avatars, and the avatars do the work for the gods, and I think that's so cool. I just really like that. Always through the show, and especially in this episode, despite the Steven kissing Layla scene, Marc and Steven are learning bit by bit that they need each other, and they work together. And that's exemplified when they meet each other physically for the first time in the psych ward, or wherever or whatever that actually is. It's also a big episode and another big sign that all this complex all this complex information about Layla's dad and Layla, it kind of rings in your head that that hasn't been followed up upon. So I know most fans honestly would walk away from this being like, this is a dream sequence or an afterlife or something that he can get back out of. But it's completely anyone can interpret it any different way. The psych ward is just a huge twist. It's blending mythology with reality, and what is real, what's not real. Who do we trust now? Do we trust the show? It's almost like a little bit of lack of trust with the show. Because if they're going to pull the rug out from under us like this, is everything we just watched for nothing? No, it wasn't. It's all actually playing a huge part into the finale of the series and show. I wouldn't call it the finale of the series, but I don't know, because the rumors are that the sequel to this series is going to be a movie. I heard that about Agatha all along too, guys. That's crazy, and I would watch both those movies opening night and probably love them, and I think they might go over well. The Disney Plus characters are going over well. They thought they weren't, but just when they kind of getting the formula right again, in my opinion. This show came out 3 years ago almost, and it's still yet to have some follow-up. We need more follow-up in these MCU projects. If you're going to set up, a good example would be of what they should be doing more of is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. The way she shows up in her series a year later, I think she shows up in the movie, The Marvels, and post-credit scene sets up the Young Avengers with Kate Bishop being there. So we need more of that, and I don't know. I think we're going to be getting more of it. I saw a little bit of it in What If. I think we're going to see more of it as the time goes on. I think the MCU will learn from its mistakes and be the number one freaking storyteller of superhero movies again. I can't wait. Episode 5 is going to be insane. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that one. And I was going to not post an episode today, and I did post on Twitter, if you've seen it, that I was going to move it to Friday, but I found some time today to do it, and I'm really grateful that I don't have to be off schedule anymore. So we're going to push through the rest of this show, the next 2 episodes. We're going to go to episode 5 on Friday, and then next Wednesday we'll do the finale, episode 6. So I want to get not the show out of the way. I want to deliver it to anyone who might have been like listening and is wondering where the heck are the rest of the Moon Knight episodes. So yeah, we're gonna do that, and very easy. We're gonna do that because this show's a lot of fun. Look, we all know kind of that the story like this usually ends with the hero winning, but don't think too fast. There's a lot of elements to the show, and Moon Knight is not your typical superhero. He's got a lot of elements to him with Khonshu and certain abilities he has and his split personality and all sorts of stuff. I love it. I think it's a great new addition to the MCU, and I could really see him showing up in the Avengers, and I'd like to see the Mr. Knight Steven form, and I would like to see the Moon Knight Marc form. I would like to see both of them. Both forms are fun, pretty cool. So this was like I said, not a super fast-paced episode. We got a lot of info. To my point earlier, it's good to get more info. It gives the characters more depth, and that's what like the series are for. And anyway, so what did you think of this episode, The Tomb, the third to last episode of Moon Knight? MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts. We do have a tip jar in our About section, comment section, somewhere down there in your description. We have a tip jar. You can support the show if you'd like. It's not necessary, but always appreciated. And thank you again for being here. I'm really excited to finish Moon Knight with you. I hope this episode wasn't too short. I don't think I skipped much. I really wanted to get this one down to bullet points. I wasn't bored watching it, but if you just seen it, you probably would want the same thing. I wouldn't want to sit in this episode. I want to, once I get to the psych ward, I'm like, man, I want to see what's going on. Like, what is the truth? And the whole Ammit situation, how does that evolve? And is it real? It's so much fun. We're going to be there. We're going to be there soon. Don't worry. Next week, Friday, 6:30 a.m. We post Wednesdays at 11 and Fridays at 6:30. I'll let you know if we try changing that. It's usually Wednesday, the TV show, Friday, the movie. We're covering Captain Marvel next, but it's not necessarily needed for me to cover Captain Marvel. I want to push through Moon Knight. So with that exception, we're going to do another Moon Knight episode this Friday. So get ready for that. Thank you. And I hope you're having a great new year. The beginning of lots of opportunities, lots of love and kindness to share with others and take on upon yourself. I feel like I'm making really good word salad right now. But we'll see you on Friday. And until next time, Avengers, disassemble.